When you turn the ball over 5 times, 4 interceptions, 1 for a touchdown, 3 others in field position to set up touchdowns, you ain't gonna beat anybody.
It's my team. It's my quarterback.
I'm very disappointed with my behavior.
But he's down.
You're listening to the Between the Whistles podcast, brought to you by CanadaFootballChat.com. I'm Coach Mac, and as always, I'm here with Coach Bobby Tink. Josh is not on location today. However, we do have a much better replacement. Today with us we have none other than Maggie Henderson, who is a football player, an executive for a football team, and a football coach. Say hi, Maggie.
Hello.
That's good enough. So
the best hello we've had.
That's right. So more importantly, if you can't tell from the background noise, we've decided that because we are grown-ass people and we, do this in our spare time, we decided to mix business and pleasure together. We are currently on location at a pub in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, recording while drinking and eating pub food.
Woo.
Exactly. Woo.
Josh is going to be upset he missed this one.
Josh is going to be upset that he missed this one.
FOMO.
But we definitely are going to have some weird sounds today, but I promise you they'll all be in good spirits like we are. So, because this is our first ever guest host appearance.
First ever?
First ever, that's right.
Oh, man.
As well as our first ever woman on the podcast. We may not have mentioned it before, but all of us coaches are heavily involved in women's football as well. And so, how appropriate for the first topic of conversation, where Maggie is on board, that we have a conversation about women in football, which is very topical right now. There's quite a few notable people, notable women who have gone on to play at a very high level, and many women getting university scholarships and all kinds of accolades and doing very well in football. Our waitress just came by the way.
Just get more geared up.
We're ordering more beer. There's going to be a lot of that. And so how appropriate that we talk about women's football just before the women's football season begins.
Yeah.
So Maggie, as I mentioned, you are a football player for the Halifax Xplosion.
I am.
You are currently a member of the executive for the Halifax Xplosion.
Yeah, first year.
You currently coach boys football.
Not currently, but I did. They're not in season now. But yes.
Have you been fired?
No.
That you're currently
Yeah.
still coaching?
Currently on the roster of coaches.
I coach a lot of teams that are currently not playing.
Fair.
That's right.
So Maggie, welcome. And tell us about, first of all, let's talk about the Halifax Xplosion. How did you get to start playing football?
I played softball, and then a girl showed up to one of our games, and she had this massive bruise on her arm. And I was like, Pam, like, what happened? She's like, I got hit in the head or the arm with the helmet. And I was like, okay, like, explain. She's like, I play tackle football. Like, I think you might like it. And I was like, because you have giant bruises? And anyways, she told me about the try and learns, so I went to both try and learns that year, and I was hooked. So that was 4 years ago.
Yeah, and so she was right. You did enjoy it?
I did enjoy it, yep.
With all the bruises?
With all the bruises.
Yeah.
Showed them off.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You wear them proudly.
Yeah.
And so, tell us about the Halifax Xplosion. What's their deal?
They're the only women's team in Nova Scotia. They've been around for 16 years, since 2006. And they're part of the MWFL, the Maritime Women's Football League. So they play against teams from New Brunswick and PEI. And it's just an awesome group of women to get to hang out with and play football and smash girls from other provinces with.
That summarizes it.
Yeah.
And I know we definitely enjoy coaching women's football. Like, I think we have this team especially has a really good group of people to not only be around but to coach and to watch play football.
It's awesome because it's just like all ages, athletic abilities, people who've never played a sport before, people who come from super competitive backgrounds, and everybody learns together and comes together as a team. It's really fun.
Yeah. Okay, so let me flip this, Bobby. Since you're here, background, Bobby has just joined the coaching staff of the Halifax Xplosion with myself and a couple of other coaches. This is your first experience coaching women.
Yeah.
You're only a couple weeks in. What do you think about coaching women's football so far?
I was actually surprised at how many women actually play football, and then just the different levels of skill that are there. You get like brand new people new to the sport, and all the way up to, we got some people who've been there for 10 plus years, and it's still thriving and still growing, and yeah, it's something new to me. I mean, we have a hard enough time trying to get high school players to come play, high school kids, and here we have women who have careers that they have to worry about and families, and they're still coming out to play football, and haphazardly. They're not even worried about getting hurt and missing tomorrow at work. They're just coming out and having a good time, and it's a really good environment. I mean, I know a lot of the coaches there. I've coached with them before in different levels, and we're just a good, positive, fun environment to be around. We're not dealing with we're not dealing with adolescents, and it's adults, and it's an adult learning environment. And
Everyone's there because they actually want to be there.
yeah, that's
No
right.
one's
Like
forcing us
they've
to be
made
there.
the conscious decision that, this is something I really want to try, and everyone's 2 feet in. Nobody's really just testing the water, so it's like full go, and yeah, it's enjoyable. It's a breath of fresh air, especially. For me, I'm just, I'm coaching a position now, and that's really where you have the most fun as a coach, is coaching a position.
Yeah, rub it in. So Maggie, then, what position do you play?
I think this year I'm a slot back, primarily.
I think that sounds about right.
As she looks
Yeah.
at Sean for like, am I?
Yeah, I go where I'm told.
That's
But
right.
yeah,
And
I think
you've
that's
always done a great job of filling in wherever you're needed, which is really fun. We definitely, I'll say that one thing that I enjoy, and this is not trying to blow smoke up your ass specifically, but the one thing I've always enjoyed about coaching women's football is that everyone's so eager to learn, but they're also so flexible. Like if you coach men's football or boys football, and you tell a guy who plays receiver that you want him to play DB, he's going to turn into a bit of a diva on you and just be like, I don't want to. A lot of them are just don't want to play two ways, or like, I mean, Maggie's played quarterback for us, she's played running back for us, she's played DB for us, she's played receiver for us. Have you kicked yet, Maggie?
you don't want me to kick.
It's
I play
You're right, though. It's like, it's the ultimate like team environment where it's like we just put, team above us, and we move. Whereas, we get those adolescents and they're like, coach, I can't is the big one, right? I can't. I'm not really good at tackling. I don't care. You're going to do it today,
learn.
right? Whereas with coaching the women, it's like, yeah, I'll give it a go. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do it. What do I got to lose?
Yeah.
I'm already here, so.
But it's also like a really, one thing I've noticed that I've never seen anywhere before is how supportive of an environment it is. It's very inclusive, but
Yes.
it's also like super, super supportive.
Everyone's cheering everyone on.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah, even when they're knocking each other out. They're
Yeah.
like picking each other
Yeah.
up and going, good job,
Yeah.
and they're all cheering each other, yeah. And yeah, I mean, there's a...
It's like I'm just like in my head I'm picturing like the soccer mom on the sideline. It's like, yeah, go Timmy. Like that's how it is for everybody, even when you're beating up your
Middle
own
of the
teammates in
play.
practice, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, I mean, well, I'm thinking of a few players who are just like literally like all too happy to run someone over and then giggle about it and then help them up and giggle about it
Yeah.
and everything else. Yes, food. Amy, do you want to be on a podcast?
Do I want to be on a podcast?
Yeah.
You are now.
Do you know anything about football?
Very little.
So, moving on, Maggie, again, let me ask you a question. I'm not trying to put you on the spot this entire podcast, but having played co-ed sports, and I know you're involved in a lot of different activities with men and women, what's the difference between playing an all-woman sport versus playing a co-ed sport, and you're around boys, you coach young men football as well, so what do you think the differences are on an all-woman team?
I don't have a lot of experience like from growing up being on team sports because I always played individual sports. So the only really like co-ed sports I play are beer league, softball, and the men are generally much more hot-headed. And even though it's beer league and everyone's like literally drinking beer, it's super intense, which doesn't need to be. So I think just the fact that it's super supportive and inclusive and everybody wants to be there, it's more like understanding and more willing to be accommodating for people who are newer and need to take things slower, as opposed to like the girls that have been there for a while don't feel the need to like speed up the learning process and jump right ahead to where we were last year. Like everyone's willing to go back down to the grassroots and kind of learn together again.
And football's
nice.
one of those sports anyway where I think it's not like softball or hockey or basketball where it's widely known that these are, you know, there's women and men playing both these sports
No.
on the same teams and on different teams. Football's, even though like this one's been around, like this team's been around and this league's been around since 2006, it's still new-ish in what it is, right?
You still get people that don't know that it's a sport or that we have a team
That
here.
you even have a
I literally was
team.
talking to people at the gym today about it, and they were like, I didn't know. And I was like, yep, that's why we're trying to do more PR and do more media stuff so that people know about us.
The NWFL was actually the first all-women full tackle football league in Canada.
That's cool.
Established.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they have the Western Women's Football League.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a full
It's like
tackle.
Alberta and Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
They're miles ahead of us.
Yeah.
Like not trying to criticize.
No, they are.
They are miles ahead of us as far as like being established and the numbers and the support from the community. They've leapfrogged ahead of us, which is fine. but-
CFL teams.
Exactly. It's the influence of being around the higher level of football, which we're in Nova Scotia. We can't wait for a CFL team to be here because I think that will help.
Yeah. Just bring awareness.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
So, okay, so you coach what, Pee-wees now? Or Bantams?
Bantams.
Bantams, okay, so that's perfect. And you have girls on your Bantam team, do you not?
We had 2 this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so from my experience, and Bobby and I have seen a couple wander into high school programs, but not a whole lot at that point. Why do you think, Maggie, at that age, the Bantam age, which is where, you know, probably the last hurrah before they move on to high school football, why do you think the girls tend to drop off at that age? Why don't we see very many women playing past Bantam?
And just like the, not stigma around football, but like just the thought that football is like a boys' sport. Like it's literally just ingrained in you. And that they're bigger and stronger and faster and can't keep up. And then it's just that awkward age, teenage years anyways, where boys have cooties and girls have cooties and girls don't want to seem like they're stronger than the boys and like intimidate the boys. And
it's advertised. Football's a boys' sport.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's boys' football.
Yeah. The only girls you see playing at a high level is in the lingerie leagues, right? So
Which is
not-
ridiculous, by the way.
yeah, especially because they're
Is that even
all
real
crazy good
football?
athletes.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, that's actually like, this is off topic, but I really think the one thing that I've always hated about the Lingerie Football League is the fact there are some stud football
Oh my
players
God.
playing for the Lingerie Football League, and they're in hockey pads and
Amazing
hockey
athletes.
helmets,
Yeah.
and a brassiere
Yeah.
knocking each other out.
Just
in
takes
booty
away
shorts.
from the sport
Yeah.
for
How
sure.
how are you not, like, you are amazing athletes,
Yeah.
you're playing high level
But that's the
football.
only way they can play high level, is if they
of
do
course
that,
it
right?
is, and I feel bad because it's
Yeah.
like, you know, at that level, you really, if we had a women's league.
Are there women's leagues in the States? Do we know if there are or
Yeah,
are not?
it's,
Or
well,
aside from that,
I
like a
don't know.
full contact, full field.
I'm not sure.
So there are women's leagues like this one.
The Montreal team plays.
Montreal.
They used to play in the States, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, the Montreal.
Yeah, they
Blitz,
played in like
is that
Detroit.
what they're called?
Yeah, I
Yes.
think.
Blitz?
so-
Yes.
Yeah, they were
So
the Blitz. Yeah.
the Montreal team did play in Western New York, and so yeah, they did have, across the United States, there's a number of women's programs that
It's just not as high level as, I don't know.
it's just not as, I'm sure the women who played in the lingerie league actually got paid to play football, which
Yeah.
is amazing for anyone who, you know, I'm sorry, but if, you know, I'm an O-lineman, so clearly there's not a lingerie football league for me. No one wants to see me in any kind of skimpy outfit, but
Well, if you can get paid to play a sport.
Yeah.
but exactly, if someone would
else to
pay
pay
me to
me.
play in said league, I would put
Yeah, it's
spandex
true.
on and play football on TV like I would. And people pay to see me play. It's ridiculous, but it's also like the next level of football, and unfortunately those athletes have to kind
And
of
it's-
deal with that.
Yeah.
From the high school standpoint, I mean, we're not really and I don't know, call it what you want, but like we're not really actively going out there trying to find girls to play
No.
high school football. And it's really, for me, it comes down to one thing and one thing only, and that's safety at that level.
Yeah.
Guys will just go ahead and tee off on them without any thought one way or another, right? So it's like, how can I safely put you out there and not get killed?
Yeah.
Because there are guys who will just be like, gotcha.
And they'll
Just
go
have to
harder
be
because
bigger
And they're
and
just-
stronger than the boys.
And they're going to just try to go as hard as they can
Yeah.
and tee
Just
off
to,
on
like,
you.
prove a point.
Like if I put you on kick return, I can guarantee that you will be seeing you'll be knocked
Yeah.
out. Right, so there's that, right? And it's
Well, I'm probably bigger than a lot of the high school boys.
Yeah, yeah, no.
yeah,
But a high school girl.
right?
Yeah.
And it's just not. I don't know. It's just,
It's
not well
probably
rel-
the reason why a lot of women who are making it to the next level or continuing to play football are in the DB position because
Yeah.
they're more.
You can be smaller in
They're
the skill positions.
they're just dodging open field blocks more
Yeah.
than anything, and they're and they're coming downhill and making grab tackles and
Well,
not filling necessarily any
Yeah.
And they're-
linebackers in the hole.
You're not going to get a girl O-line.
no, for the most part, that's just it, right? Developmentally, they're not quite
Yeah.
there yet.
Yeah.
Even though, like, you can have a 150-pound girl and a 150-pound guy, those are two different shapes of body sometimes, and one probably is going to win over the other at that, right? So
Well, yeah, testosterone levels.
Yeah, there's like, I'm all for women and equality in sport, but there's very few women that would be able to just be in the NFL because of size and strength. Like, not saying they're not as skilled or as good at football, it's just the size and the strength.
They're
right?
just
It's
not putting up 40 reps on 225.
225, yeah,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
genetically, it just
Yeah.
isn't there, and it's.
Yeah. Not saying there couldn't be football for women at that level for women.
No,
But-
absolutely. And the same thing in high school, and I don't know why we haven't even got to this level yet, is there's no, I bet, in Halifax and in where we are, I'm sure you could probably put together a few teams of
We're trying
maybe not
to work with Football
12
Nova Scotia.
or 11, but 10,
Yeah.
8-a-side
Six
football,
aside.
6-a-side,
Yeah.
women's football
Yeah.
at the high school
It's in
level.
the works.
I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah, it's in the works. Like,
And that will
had
benefit, that'll benefit obviously the Halifax
Yep.
Xplosion, but it'll benefit the girls playing as well. I mean, because there are girls out there.
yeah.
For instance, I was looking at the rugby practice for the school that we're at, and that's a whole football team right there.
Yeah.
Like that whole, like there was 25 girls out there playing rugby,
Yep.
and of all body types that should be could play football. Some of them could play football for us,
Yep.
but it's not.
It's just you don't want to be the only girl on the boys' team.
We're not advertising it as much as
Yeah.
maybe we should be, but at the same time, I don't want to see a girl get hurt because some kid's going to go tee off on her. And it's really not fair because we're going to charge you X amount of dollars to come play, and I really, if I'm playing some teams, you will get hurt. It's a matter of time.
Well, if women want to come out and play, I mean, we had a couple this year that we encouraged to play because they did come out on their own will and asked to play, and we were encouraging, but they dropped out. But I think if they're willing to put in the work and come out and do the job, like as coaches, it's our job to try to protect everyone on the football field, especially
Yep.
if people are trying to pick on them or do something stupid. But I mean, even in high school,
More
I
just
did-
you don't want that, like, I'm stronger than the boys, right? The girls don't want that. They don't want to be seen as, like, they can
Well,
tackle the boys. And at
it's-
least that's what we saw on our team a little bit.
And it's like you said, that might only be in a whole school. How many girls?
Yeah, not many.
Not many, right? So it's like, do you want to be, one of two, or
Yeah.
right? You know what I mean?
You don't want to be singled out in high school, ever.
And then there's the
whether
whole
it's for a good thing or a bad
bullying
thing.
factor and all this. Where it's like, oh, you play boys football, and right? So there's all these different issues that kind of fall into place, and
It's not just one thing.
no, it's unfortunate, but yeah, it's
So these headlines that are out now about women playing at a high university level, for example, there's a woman at the University of Manitoba that I've been following because she played for the Toronto Junior Argos, and where I used to coach, and there's this young lady that plays for, I don't know what the Division One. Is it a Division One school,
Yeah,
Bobby?
yeah, she just
It
got
is.
Division One.
She just got a
school.
scholarship
She's got
for
a full
Division
ride.
One, yeah.
First woman ever Division One
playing
school.
DB.
Yeah, she's a
She wants
DB.
to get drafted by the Seahawks.
which would be amazing.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. So do you think this stupid mentality, this boy mentality that we're talking about, will exist at that college level?
Yeah.
Or do you think they'll be more respectful,
No.
or do you think
No,
the
I
coaches
think
will have
it'll
a better lens on that?
I think because of the way things are structured and more, I don't think it'll be there. Just there's more coaches to go around to make sure it doesn't happen. There's probably
I'd like
more
to think
talk.
it won't, but
there's
it's
more-
like you're still going to be singled out. She's still going to have to go to her own locker room. She's not going to be able to go to the boys' locker room. Like, she's still going to miss out on
This is America. They do things
certain
differently.
things, I think. Like,
Yeah.
which is part of team building, like whether or not you want it. Like, locker room talk is still part of team building.
Yeah.
And if she's always excluded from that kind of stuff, then, like, seems small, but
No, she'll have to put in twice as much. They'll have to put in twice as much work probably,
Yeah.
and deal with.
and like I would like to think,
significantly-
I'm sure like the team will be supportive. I'd like to think that's not going to be an issue.
Yeah.
Not going to like.
It's whether or not the men will be.
No,
supportive.
I think they will. It's just, I think you're still going to be the girl on the team. Like, you're not going to be one of the boys. But
Yeah, and you like
hopefully-
That's part of the problem right there.
that's it. Yeah.
This is a co-ed
It's-
sport. You shouldn't have to be one of the boys. You should just
No,
be a player.
but
on
it's
the
not
team.
when you're the only girl, it's not really co-ed.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
You know,
like
like-
that's so for me. That's kind of where
Yeah.
that's where I get hung up. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I hear one of the boys, and I'm like, well,
Yeah.
why should a girl try to be one of the
No,
boys? You know?
but
Well-
when you're the only girl on the team,
yeah,
For instance, hockey now. Let's because they're pretty progressive in this, but even at these small levels, they have female hockey and they have co-ed hockey. You pick. You can pick. Well, why can't you pick at football?
yeah.
In minor football, there's no picking.
No, it's just
one team.
co-ed.
That's it. It's all co-ed.
But if
But
you
there's not-
asked people if it was co-ed, I bet you 90% of people would not know that it's co-ed. They would just assume it's boys football in minor. They wouldn't think that girls could be on the team.
seems to be the case. Yeah,
You know, So it is co-ed, but it's not really advertised
Not
as co-ed.
sold. No, that's right. And I don't think, even in 2019, I don't think we're at that point where
No.
we're, as a football community, we're willing to sell it as
That's
a co-ed
co-ed.
sport.
Well, like when I tell people I play football, it's almost always you get, oh, touch or flag. Mm-hmm. Like nobody's first response is, oh, tackle.
yeah.
Like it's like, oh, American or like European, like soccer. You're
Yeah.
like, no, American.
No, football helmets,
with full gear.
full
Yeah.
tackle.
Yeah,
You
it's
really
just,
have to explain it.
It's like your swag. What does your swag say on the back of the sweater?
Yeah, yes, tackle football.
Yes, tackle football. I love it.
Hello, Peanut Gallery. I hope you're enjoying our in-pub, on-location episode with Maggie Henderson. It was definitely fun to record. I wanted to take a break here to, of course, pay the bills like we always do. We'd like to remind you that Between the Whistles podcast is brought to you by CanadaFootballChat.com. Purchase your CFC Insider membership today for access to rankings, analysis, daily football recruiting news across Canada, and all kinds of cool stuff like that. Again, go to CanadaFootballChat.com to find stuff like our podcast and a bunch of other cool content. Now let's get back to the pub episode.
All right, so now that we've paid the bills, let's get back to the pub here and wrap up this conversation. As I mentioned, we are on location at a bar, and as the time goes on and the beers go down, this place is getting noisier. As the crowd grows, when we got here, we were the only people here, but now there's a bunch of people at the bar acting up, so we probably should wrap up. But Maggie, before we do, we were talking about perception and how people react when they hear you play football. Tell me about some of the negative stuff, because I mean, Bobby and I could probably assume what some of the chauvinistic things that come to pass with you in football. But tell me about some of your own experiences. Have you dealt with douchey dudes? Yes, please.
I've been pretty lucky. I haven't had too many negative responses. Usually everyone's pretty impressed that you play tackle football, actually.
So, wait, tell me about your mom. Like, I know better.
Okay. Yeah, parents might not be as stoked. My friends, I've gotten a couple injuries, so they were kind of like, yeah, you're done. You're not allowed to play anymore. Like, you've been broken. Game over. You're done. My mom watches more football now because I play. She's like, all into the Seahawks because I like them, and she tries to pretend like she knows what she's talking about when she watches.
The South Shore Seahawks.
The Seattle Seahawks.
Oh, this is 100% amateur football.
This is an amateur football podcast, Maggie. Yeah.
But she came to some games, and at first she was definitely not sold, and then she came around to it a little bit. She's going to come out this year in May and watch a couple of our games. So no pressure, guys, but
what?
we gotta
There's no pressure on me.
perform.
You're the one who has to play.
We gotta perform.
Yeah, you got to perform.
So she's come around to it. My friends are slowly. They haven't been up to a game yet, so hopefully this year they'll come out if we play at home.
We'll just
But
have to work on it.
Yeah,
Well, what about dudes? No?
yeah.
What about the? Okay,
They think
what about
it's
the
okay.
kids
They
that
think
you?
it's
What about
cool.
the kids that you coach? Are they happy and impressed that you're a women football player because they don't really probably see a lot of those?
I think they listen and respect what we have to say as coaches more because they know that we actually play. And when I throw a football, I can throw a football, and if I do a drill, I can block, and so I think they respect us a little bit more because they know we actually play as opposed to just we're these random girls on the field telling them what to do. I still think if we got in pads and got to hit them and play with them, they might respect us a little bit more, but that's not allowed. So
No, yeah, I'm
Well,
sure you can. You can outlift me, so I guarantee
leave
you can
it.
probably outlift most of these high school kids
Yeah.
too, and probably run them over.
yeah, so we're not allowed to do that. But they're pretty good. They've been coached by women now for the last probably 4 or 5 years. They've had some female coaches and presence on the team, so I think they're a little bit more used to it and a little bit more apt to accepting any feedback that we have to give them.
Yeah, I think that's kind of
they're
cool.
quite respectful. Yeah.
Good. I think it's kind of cool that in a sense that it probably encourages the girls to come out and play a little more if they're women coaches. Do you think?
I would hope so.
That'd be great. I think it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in any case, if you have someone who looks up to, looks up to a role model, and they see, women like you who are, a grown-ass woman who has a job and a life, but still plays competitive level football and still kicks butt. I think maybe they might aspire to play ball at another level.
Yeah, I think all we can do is try to be good role models and be out there working hard and.
We've been
showing
doing a
that
lot of
anybody can do it.
PR here now as well, kind of pushing at least our program. So hopefully, with that getting out now in kind of mainstream media and stuff, that more parents will be sending their daughters to play football.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
I think it's a great team sport, and in a way that a lot of other sports are. You can't have a team if every one of those positions doesn't work together. Whereas softball, if you don't have a great left fielder, that's okay. You can probably still have a team. Or in soccer, you can have a weak defense or whatever, but if your offense is really good, it's fine. But in football, I feel like you really have to have, everyone has to do their part on the team for everyone to feel safe and to feel like they can go out and do their part and play their position properly. They have to trust that the girl blocking for her is going to do the job. They have to trust that the woman that's holding the ball for the kick is going to do her job. So I think it's, in that sense, it's much more of a team sport than even a lot of other team sports.
And I think, we talked about it earlier where the CFL kind of has this, it's like the Western Women's Football League has grown because there's CFL markets there.
Yeah.
You're essentially the top dog for female football in Atlantic Canada, and maybe that's what might help, especially with what we're doing now, grow football amongst children and different levels, and aspire to be on the Halifax Xplosion when they get older. So.
Yeah, hopefully. I think there's a lot of good role models on the team, so it'd be fun if we got girls and women out to watch this year. And
Well, we've had several high school aged women come out to the team.
yeah,
Some are still high school players, and some are just high school age and they haven't played for a while. And I mean, that's at least,
just knowing that it's an
and more of them-
option, it's a possibility that they could play.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't have to stop at minor. It doesn't have to stop at high school. There's still
And more of
somewhere
you
they
guys,
can go.
more of you guys are getting out coaching as well. We
Yeah.
had.
And there's nationals next year. There's worlds the year after for women's football. So it's not just.
How competitive is that?
competitive. Like
Yeah.
there was, I think, 8 countries at the last Worlds.
That's
So
pretty awesome.
it's cool. Like it's not every country doesn't do it, but that's still,
Hey,
you can still say you went and represented your country.
Yeah, as long as we're
Pretty
wonderful.
cool.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty proud of how football has grown in Canada, although we're not getting much help from organizations and government and things
Not
like
yet.
that, but, and the public. But I think football in Canada is growing still.
Yeah. Oh, it's. I mean, if you certainly at the minor levels, yeah. I mean, we got the oldest football league in the world as our professional league, and we're still growing leaps and bounds every year.
Yeah. And I've played sports at like fairly high levels, and it's just nice to know that it doesn't have to stop at the maritime level. Like it can go to nationals, it can go to worlds. Like the ceiling isn't super low.
Yeah. And you've played in nationals before, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not for Team Nova Scotia.
For Team New Brunswick.
That's right. I'm noticing the Team New
I'm
Brunswick
wearing
sweater.
my-
Because
Yeah.
Team Nova Scotia did not have a program, but
No.
I think we're in a place now where Team Nova Scotia could have a program and
I hope
probably
so.
do pretty well.
Yeah.
I think, anyway.
I would rather play for Team Nova Scotia for sure.
I'd take our team against
If that was
those
an option,
groups,
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you, Maggie, for your insight and
Thanks for having me.
for bringing a little diversity to our group of coaches here.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, everyone who listens to the show knows that we're passionate about all levels of football and all at all the way from little kids all the way to grown adults from an amateur perspective. So it's good to have someone who can bring us a different sort of view. So, guys, if you like the Between the Whistles podcast, I always encourage you to go to betweenthewhistles.ca or CanadaFootballChat.com to find our most recent podcast. Or you can listen to us anywhere that podcasts can be heard. Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. We're also on YouTube. But more importantly, if you'd like to send us an email, betweenthewhistlespodcast@gmail.com. We'd always love to hear from you. Find us on social media. Any way you'd like to communicate with us, we'd love to chat football. If you have any topics you want to hear about, if you want to hear more from Maggie or any of the other members of the Halifax Xplosion Women's football team, please reach out. We'd love to hear from you. And as always, thanks for listening.